episode was strange. No, that doesn't mean I hated it or anything. Like, I wasn't wildly offended by it or something like that. But it was just weird. And it wasn't like the Berlin kind of weird where it was like butterflies and like, ooh, this is kind of nice. I kind of like it. It was Twilight Zone strange. Like, I felt like Rod Sterling was about to come out and narrate halfway through. It was like they made a strange decision and were like, how can we make this decision look less strange? Of course, by making an even stranger decision. And that just kept happening and happening until even Mark Harmon was like, what the hell is going on? And face planted on the couch. But without further ado, let's begin. And what a better place to start than with clowns and Christmas music. Don't worry, playing Silent Night in the background will somehow make this less strange. I do have a beef with when they play Silent Night in this series, but I'll talk about that in a video coming up. So this Marine is walking down a dark, empty hallway when suddenly he hears an ominous squeaking coming from somewhere in the distance. Don't worry, it's just a clown in a suit coming to cheerfully murder you. All is calm, all is bright. Then we get the mean paperwork lady, and no one ever dares to mess with her because she's evil and mean and the man or something. Who could possibly save us but Bishop, of course, because she's perfect. Of course, she's an innocent little kitty cat puppy dog who doesn't notice, and she makes friends with Denozo because we can't have any more Denozo sadness this season. So they go to a crime scene and need a sketch artist. Who can possibly help them? Oh wait, Bishop can, because she's perfect. And no one seems to mind her babbling, ramblingness, because even though we've established before that everyone does not like this, because Ducky does it for the past 11 years, somehow Tony finds it adorable when Bishop does it because she's perfect. Sadly, Palmer cannot do jumping jacks because he is not perfect. But don't worry, Bishop makes an astute discovery about the trajectory because she's perfect. P.S. Two things I like about the scene: Bishop's hair and the reference to senior. Like, hey, my dad couldn't possibly be the holiday murderer this year. He is on vacation somewhere. It's a Christmas miracle. So then we open the hotel room, and to what do my wondering eyes would appear but a very uncomfortable scene. Oh dear. So basically, Diana and Fornell have been rocking around the Christmas tree all night. And morning, probably. This is where we start getting angsty teenage Gibbs, and I get that he's every right to be frustrated and confused because it's his best friend and his ex-wife, and they already had to go around with this, and it didn't work out that well. But we've seen Gibbs in some pretty angsty situations before, but never before has he turned into a 17-year-old boy quite like he did today. What a moment. Side note, why would they even consider telling Emily about this already? They even said that this just happened like 12 hours ago. Why are they doing this? Do they really even have to consider calling their daughter, regardless of age, and saying, hey, sweetie, your father and I had a sexual encounter last night? So of course, Diane's somehow involved in some sketchy business to call her boyfriend, the one who wasn't in the bathtub, who was somehow related to a dead Marine. Ellie talks about how this is a coincidence because they suddenly exist. And Bishop doesn't warn McGee about oncoming danger when he's talking about the people who are approaching him because he's McGee and these things happen to him. Then in the car, Fornell tries to have this heart-to-heart with Gibbs, try being the operative word here, but suddenly Gibbs just turns into an 11-year-old boy having the birds and bees talk with his parents. I mean, I get that Gibbs has a very small comfort level, but usually he'll just like turn the situation around and make the people answer the question for themselves. And even though I really like the angle they were working with, like, are you happy? Like, I'm happy if you're happy. Do whatever makes you feel good. I didn't like the part where he was like, ew, Mom, no, stop, that's so gross, Mom. Ew. Ew. But we're seeing more Gibbs, so I really can't complain. Like I just did. Anyway. Also, Emily's suddenly now a 13-year-old attacking Ginger who hides in people's closets. Okay. I typically hate how NCIS writes teenagers. Fornell makes his daughter and the rest of the situation so funny that I don't even care. They go down to the lab to see Diane's set and texts, and something related her boyfriend to a Marine. Hey, wait, we had a case going on here, didn't we? So while investigating, we get a slightly more successful heart-to-heart with Diane and Gibbs. I really like this scene because it makes Diane more human, that under all that anger and aggression and anger, she's just wants to wake up next to someone she loves and who loves her back, and that's a very real, human, realistic desire, and I like that they added that in and painted her in a more human angle, not just this big angry monster. I really like that. But all that sweetness goes away when she found out her boyfriend may have been cheating on her. How dare you cheat on me? Well, I might have been cheating on you with my ex-husband, even though I still might have been married. Hey, didn't we have a case or something? Bishop goes down to autopsy and she understands everything because she read an entire freaking autopsy handbook in one weekend. Because she's perfect. What could possibly make this situation more perfect than DiNozzo bringing her a cupcake? Singing while he does it, of course. I get that Bishop food associates, but why did he bring her a cupcake? In fact, since when does DiNozzo do any of this stuff? I mean, I get that the writers have some creative freedom with this whole changing storyline, but right now they're taking more liberties in America during the Revolutionary War. So we're back to the clowns, and I think DiNozzo makes some innuendo about big clown feet, but I'm too busy following everything to be disturbed by that. And Ellie does well on her polygraph because she's perfect. Later, Diane can't find Emily because she lets her barely teenage daughter roam the town for some reason. Listen, if you have a happy cat friend alert, you're not allowed to go anywhere without a parent and or guardian. Also, why are all 13-year-olds so pretty on this show? I mean, around this time, we're all going through, like, that awkward phase. Like, do we even want to know what I looked like around that age? No. No, we don't. This is so deeply concerning that their daughter's concerns aren't being heard by her parents, because for a 13-year-old, she's having very intelligent and realistic concerns. She doesn't want to see herself go through that pain again, and she doesn't want to see her parents go through that pain again. And I'm kind of annoyed that the parents have not addressed this. She doesn't want to see history repeat, especially because she's so young, and this is a very legitimate thing. Listen to her. Things happen, and apparently Diane's boy toy is a secret agent man, and him, Gibbs, and Fornell are starting a boy band. But before No Direction can figure out what the hell they're doing, we find out that Emily has been kidnapped. Dun dun dun. And we get a very Taken-esque scene with Fornell and the kidnapper on the phone, and then Fornell consults Bishop. He's like, "You're the analyst, what do I do?" And I like to see Bishop put in that very real situation all of a sudden. You know, she had her cupcakes and her day in the sun, now she could end up with some very real blood on her hands, and I wanted to see how she handled that. But, of course, Bishop saves the day with a profound, ingenious, very astute realization that only a professional analyst could come up with. The van was painted blue, because apparently as long as it's not white, it's not suspicious or anything. But Bishop saves the day because, you know the drill, she's perfect or something. And then we get the scene that really gets my goat. This scene doesn't even anger me. I feel like I should have steam pouring out of my ears. When Bishop returns with the girl, the whole bullpen claps. Now I have a question for you. When was the last time the bullpen clapped? When? Because as long as I'm remembering correctly, the last time they clapped like that was in a little episode called Truth or Consequences. Maybe you've heard of it. And you know what they had to do in that episode to get that applause? They had to go through months of heartbreak and research and planning, and then they had to go be tortured by a terrorist and escape his camp and go on these all impossible journeys and adventures to get Ziva home, and that's how they deserve their applause. Bishop realized the van was blue. They just took this monumental, really touching scene and then just sucked the significance right out of it. These other teams face very real dangers and very real cases every day, and you know it shouldn't be this way, and it's really sad, but they do see kidnappings all the time, and even we as viewers see kidnappings very often throughout the episodes. The reason the people in the bullpen clapped is because the teams went, "Wow, that's something I could never do." Bishop blue van. Let her read all the autopsy handbooks, give her all the cupcakes you want, but Bishop did not deserve that applause. And I'm standing by that. And I'm not even going to point out the glaring character flaw when Bishop gets yelled at and then Gibbs smiles at her because that's weird. And also Emily is more concerned about her parents when she's kidnapped than her own well-being, which is concerning, I guess. Maybe she's just really selfless, but I would be, if I was tied up in the back of the van, I'd kind of be a little concerned about myself. But while Bishop's saving kittens from a burning orphanage or something, we do see Fornell and Gibbs capture the criminal, and this criminal actually did kind of scare me. I mean, he was on screen for a few seconds, but just, I don't know, something in his actions and the way he talked about her really got to me, maybe because it was in reference to a little kid or a little girl, and I'm not good with stuff like that. And then we end with a couch dive that I hope will live on an NCIS history. Basically, Diane and Fornell go to Gibbs to get his blessing instead of their own daughter. Like, this episode literally had the adult as the child, and the child acting like the adult. Emily and Gibbs just switch roles or something. It was so strange. I feel like they definitely should have went to their daughter about this. I get that Gibbs is important to them, but I mean, you do have a child that you probably should consult. I mean, she was just kidnapped and you're already like, goodbye. And plus, I felt some weird undertones because Diane's with the whole "you are my Shannon" thing. Like, did she settle for Fornell? Is she over Gibbs? Maybe she's happy. Did she just learn to move on? Or is she really deeply unhappy? Will this work out? Probably not. Maybe it will. I don't know. What am I doing? Will we ever see the continuation? Did Gibbs even get the blessing? Probably. I mean, that would be weird. But so strange. That's really all I have to say about this episode. It was something, alright. Next episode is a holiday episode. Jingle bells ringing ominously in the distance. Goodbye. Happy holidays.